BAMZOOKi is the best thing ever. Thanks for watching. Okay, no, I'm just joking. We'll do a real video. In the 2000s, CBBC was awash with great game shows for kids. We had Raven, Trapped, Mission 2110, 50/50, Escape from Scorpion Island, and this thing. We were truly eating well. But as I mentioned in my video about that thing, my favourite of all of these was BAMZOOKi. BAMZOOKi's first 3 series, presented by Jake Humphrey, ran from 2004 to 2006, with a later reboot, revival, rebrand thing called BAMZOOKi Street Rules coming in 2009, presented by Barney Harwood and Gemma Hunt. The original series consisted of 15-minute episodes where teams competed in challenges in a fancy-ass looking studio in the hopes of winning an ugly trophy. The revival series consisted of 30-minute episodes where teams competed in challenges in an ugly-ass studio to win the coolest looking trophy I've ever seen in my life. And also, what they were doing was, illegal or something. It was a whole thing. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's start at the beginning. Part 1, Original Series. The best way I can think of to describe BAMZOOKi would be that it's a bit like Robot Wars, but for kids, and using Zooks instead of robots. You got different challenges, different teams, but basically you plonk your Zooks down on the arena, or, on the table, and they fight it out to win tournaments. There were also other little sections in between, like some tips on how to make Zooks that didn't really help you to make Zooks, and the lap leaderboard challenge where celebrities would make Zooks and then race them around a course. Which was great because I swear the longest time was 30 seconds and they made you feel every single one. Like the celebrities would be so fakely pumped up and the track is just a square and their Zooks look awful and the frame rate is atrocious. This is so peak. But okay, what the heck actually is a Zook, I hear you ask? Part 1.1. The Zooks. A Zook is a little virtual creature designed by contestants using the Zook Kit, a free toolkit available on the CBBC website. Once upon a time, anyway. In the original series, 2 teams of 2 to 4 would bring 4 Zooks each to be tested in a series of challenges. Tests of speed, strength, agility, hurdling, and many more. Zooks could really be anything you wanted them to be, and that's what helped to make the show so appealing. They could be big, small, fast, slow, cute, creepy, slippy, hoppy, ploddy, bendy. Really anything you wanted them to be, you could make them be. There was such fun creativity on display, but it was so brilliantly juxtaposed with the fact that kids both made and named these. So you'd get the most inspired piece of digital engineering you'd ever seen, and then it has fangs or a bow tie, and it's called Slekateka 43 or some shit. It was fantastic. I think the most common Zook names were Speedy, Krabby, Spike, Fang, that kind of thing. They were usually pretty descriptive for the most part, but you'd occasionally get some real gems like Big Bo Bob, I Don't Know Too, Grog, James Bro, or themed names, like there was one team who named them all after various deities, or the ones who named them after natural disasters, or the fast food team with Zooks including Chippy, Beefy, Pancake, and Scorpion. If your team got through to the semi-finals, you had to design one Zook to take on the final challenges solo, either by modifying an existing Zook or creating a new one from scratch. These Zooks were dubbed Uber Zooks, and it's kind of interesting looking at the winning ones because in the same way you could say that wedge-shaped robots in Robot Wars became kind of a default design, the Uber Zooks all follow a very similar pattern of sort of medium size, 6+ legs, fairly compact, compact and decently bulky for pushing purposes, fast and good at turning. The creativity of jumping Zooks and wiggly Zooks and Zooks with very specific designs sort of disappears in favour of all-rounders, which is understandable but a bit of a shame. It would be cool if these types of Zooks were actually feasible to use, you know? Shout out to the team Double Trouble for making their Uber-Zook a jumping one though. That's cool. I mean, it did terribly and lost catastrophically, but still cool. My favourite Zooks include Grip, because look how cool this Zook is! Tour de Force and Fire Ant are interesting design-wise. I really enjoy the arrows as a pushing device. And actually, Fire Ant comes from my favourite team of Zooks. I think they're all really cool, especially Double Cuboid. Alley Oop and Alley Uber are cute little fellas. I love the design of Knight Rider, or indeed any Zook with a little guy on their backs. I will say that I am such a Zook snob now, you know, I can look at a Zook and judge how good it's gonna be in the challenges. You look at this team who haven't even figured out independent leg movement and you're like, come on kids, your Zooks are shit. The House Zooks who demonstrate the challenges are also classics. There's Bernard, created by Jake, who's a speedy little fella who pretty much wins every challenge they demonstrate. And then Nosy, this goofy guy created by Rich, who's the show's narrator, who is slow and bad and just kinda rubbish at everything, and that's the joke. Bernard goes through a few snazzy design changes while Nosy is perfect the way he is. There's also Fing and Fang, the evil house Zooks that chase contestants during challenges, and also Lily, I guess, and the Zookettes, if they count. I think if I was to level any kind of criticism or hot take at this series, it's that the Zooks don't actually get to develop much of an identity, I guess. And that's not even really a criticism, because that isn't the point of the show. But compared to Street Rules, which we'll discuss later, it all breezes by a bit quickly for the Zooks to leave an impression. They're brought out for challenges, and that's kind of it, you know, they feel very utilitarian, they're just tools, you know? It's more about the teams, which... hang on. Part 1.1.2, the teams. Minor section here merely to point out that every episode does have a fairly substantial portion of it taking up with introducing the teams. And the teams introduce themselves with these goofy ass videos with themes. This team likes bugs. They spend all their time around bugs. How can they make their Zooks like bugs? How can liking bugs help you make a Zook? This team likes go-karts. Can you make a Zook like a go-kart? Not really, because Zooks don't have wheels, but they can be fast. Wow, that's just like a go-kart. This team likes crabs. They study the movement of crabs. They try to make a Zook based on a crab.
But we just have to remember to think crab. Think crab, think crab, think crab, think crab.
Welcome to BAMZOOki. Now, the first thing that I need to know is, and I'm a bit worried about it, do your Zooks go forwards as well as sideways?
We could scrap the crab idea.
And tell us about your Zooks. Did you manage to use those animal influences?
Yeah, we sort of combined different good animals together to make really good Zooks. And we also looked at the cheetah to make Shifter especially.
What did you say?
Okay, I'm mocking this, and these are obviously cringe AF, but in a fun way, where it's kids being silly and scripted, and it's fine, who cares? But something I do like is that a couple of the teams design their Zooks over email, or long distance, you know? That's just cool to see. Anyway, sorry, we can get back on track now. Oh, back on track. A bit like a go-kart. Part 1.2, the challenges. In the original series of BAMZOOki, the Team Zooks would face off in 3 different challenges and then a final relay race to determine who would progress into the semi-final. These challenges were all pretty fun and got more inventive both as the series progressed and the technology developed. Obviously, only a complete freak would list every challenge in the series. Zook Zigzag is a simple slalom race. BAMZOOki just involves pushing blocks out of the way. Weakest Zook is basically tug of war. Zook Ball is football. Zook Bowling is, that. Zook Hurdles is, that as well. Later upgraded to Zook Super Hurdles and Extreme Zook Super Hurdles, which are both the same thing basically, but more fancy and colourful. Dodgy Zook, get past the sliding doors. Zook Trap, get past the swingy doors. Great Barrier Zook, get past the sliding doors by politely opening them. Aww. Zook Sumo is the Zooks just fricking going at it in a brawl. Merry-Go Zook is the Zooks going at it but on a spinny thing that can fling them across the room at any time. Zook Smash is one of my favourites, gotta push a load of colourful blocks out the way. Zook in a China Shop is another good one, gotta knock down as many poles as you can. Ready Steady Zook is kind of the opposite, you need to navigate a course without knocking poles down. Zook Tag, get points by getting the blob. Zookette Season Freeze, get points by getting these little fellas. Zook Cubes. Lot of cubes. Beat the boulder, get points by getting the blob, but the timer is controlled by the opposite Zook pushing a ball. Lumber Zook, knock down poles. Zook 'em down, knock down poles. Bloomin' Zooks, knock down poles. Zook past the blast to push the block into your opponent's half, but don't get caught there yourself. Zook Sausage Roll, just push the big sausage, mate. Zook Marbles, get through the balls. Danger Zook, get through the balls. Zook Trench Ball, get through the balls. Zook Wobble, get through the wobbly things. And also the balls. Cannonball Zook, get through the poles. And also the balls firing at you at 10 billion miles an hour. Zook 'em off at the pass. Get through the other Zook. Zook the Limit. Run back and forth, scoring points while the other Zook pushes the block you're tagging further and further away. Slab Dash. Run back and forth, scoring points, but you can get bonked on the head by a falling slab. Zook Pursuit. Run back and forth, but you get chased by Fang the House Zook. Zook Breakout. Run back and forth, but you get chased by Fing or Fang the House Zooks. Free Lily. Go through a mini assault course to save Lily, but you might get chased by Fing or Fang the House Zooks. And finally, World's Strongest Zook. Push the columns over the centre line before your opponent. Some of the simpler challenges from the early series were either phased out over time or modified and made more complex as time went on. It's crazy how we went from this basic-ass slalom race with 10 poles on the table to the complexity of something like Free Lily or Zook Wobble. The later challenges were generally a bit more interesting to watch, but stuff like Zook Tag, which is about as simple as it gets, literally just a blob on the table, was incredibly exciting to watch. And that is in no small part down to the narration, but we'll get onto that in just a moment. What was great about the challenges was that even though most of them were pretty simple, there was a huge amount of variety. Challenges evolved as the series went on, and some challenges were reserved for semi-finals, so you could guarantee you'd be watching something new and exciting. The final also underwent a few revisions as time went on. So basically, for each round you won, you got a point, and that determined your head start in the final. If you'd won all 3 rounds, you had a 3-second head start against the other team. If you'd won 2 and the other team had won 1, you had just a 1-second head start. In the first iteration of the final, the head starts were a bit meaningless because it was just a straight relay race. Blank table with all the Zooks lined up in a row ready to tag each other for their part of the relay. The order the Zooks went in was determined by what order you picked them for the challenges. So if you started out picking a slow but strong Zook, you'd get off to a slow start. This meant that teams that did badly overall but happened to have one really fast Zook on their team could really quickly overtake, which is sort of tactics, I guess, but not really that exciting. Most of the excitement came from seeing which Zooks were gonna get stuck on each other when they got tagged. That's really where most of the overtakes happened. Series 2 changed the format of the final for the better, in my opinion. Firstly, rather than just being a blank table with naffle on it, there were 4 different mini-challenges for each Zook to tackle. First was a small wall of blocks to bash through, second was a couple of hurdles, third was a sliding door, and last was a sprint to the finish. Secondly, you could pick which Zook tackled which challenge, so you usually ended up with the stronger Zooks at the start and sprinting Zooks at the end. So the races generally felt much tighter and the advantages gained in the challenges actually mattered, but not so much that they felt completely insurmountable. Well-placed Zooks suited to each challenge could really turn the tables. And did. The grand final also underwent a couple of revisions, but similarly to the normal challenges, this seems to be just because they could have more complicated things going on. The first incarnation had a block pushing bit, slalom bit, hurdle bit, another block pushing bit, door bit, another hurdle bit, really just a culmination of most of the simpler challenges from Series 1. The Series 2 and onwards finale was actually fairly similar and only had a couple of changes. First a block pushing bit, slalom bit, hurdle bit, door bit, bull bit, or alternatively poles with bulls bit, door bit part 2, big bulls bit, finish line. So the challenges overall were fairly simple. The Zooks were somewhat at the mercy of their physics, and the later revival series would have more elaborate and involved gameplay, but that didn't stop these early series from being fun, exciting, and of course, thoroughly entertaining. Though, of course, it wasn't solely the challenges that kept things interesting. Part 1.3: The Presenters. Jake Humphrey does a decent job. He's friendly, he's upbeat, he gets the kids into cheering for a bunch of shadows on a table. He's cool. But the show is absolutely made by its narrator, Richie Webb, or just Rich. The insane enthusiasm and banter he brings to his commentary is incredible. There are still phrases and moments from BAMZOOKi that are living in my head rent-free nearly 20 years after seeing them, and it's all down to his delivery.
As they both head neck and neck and hand over for the final leg, and Shooting Star shoots into the air, and Big Bo Bob makes a dash for the line. What is Shooting Star doing? Well, whatever it is, it's rubbish, because Big Bo Bob has won it for the Tremendous Trio. What a tremendous finish. What a disaster for the Goobers. Is this going to be their first defeat? But Jim's got stuck on a pole that he doesn't even need to go round. He should just go straight down the middle. What an idiot. Sumo could really make up some time here. Rampage is still stuck, and off goes Sumo like nothing.
Let's start the countdown.
3, 2, 1. So here comes Steps.
Come on.
He's got an interesting movement there, sort of missing the ball a little bit. That's not very good. And the ball slowly gathering pace, and yes, they've scored a massive 1.
It's an absolute whitewasher, Mrs. Punk Pop.
Oh, she's gone off! She's gone off the table, and that gives the DeGraff squad the chance to come from behind again, just like they did in the heat. But the time is running out. They just need one more. Oh. He now goes into Zook Trap, and he now gets stuck. Unbelievable, both Zooks stuck in the Zook Trap. Come on, lads. One of you's got to break free, else I'm stuck. He's got a bit stuck there on the final hurdle, and this is giving Spitfire the chance to close in. Oh, unbelievable. He's still stuck. Here comes Spitfire with the little man on his back. He's waving a flag saying, look out, I'm going to climb over the top of you. Unbelievable. He's going to knock him free. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Meanwhile, Smoke Beetle still facing the wrong way. Ziggy slow as ever. This is an extraordinary contest. Too close to call if it ever finishes. Now, Smoke Beetle and Ziggy are stuck halfway down the course, showing no signs of going anywhere. And now he's up in the air. Oh my goodness, he's leaped over one and another. Oh, unbelievable! There's nothing in the rules about not flying.
They're both quick, but they're both having no luck with the doors. And oh my goodness! Killer has been absolutely squashed. He's on his back. Oh no! Epic's on his back as well. Both Zooks are upside down, but Epic is clawing his way to the line. He's done it! Epic by name. What a victory.
Well, I can't quite believe this is happening in front of me because Move Master is still stuck. This is a disaster for Frogs on Wheels, and Limo, the slowest Zook I think I have ever seen, is going to overtake him. Oh my goodness! I've never seen anything like it in all of my life! Limo has overtaken Move Master on the line! Unbelievable!
Oh, Rich!
And here comes Celebrant Twister, and he's tag lightning velocity, and that Red White Army is tag can't stop, and it's a fight to the finish! But they're stuck together! Oh my goodness! I've never seen anything like this on television. Well, apart from in previous series, obviously. And it's surely one of them can break me, and it can't stop!
And I'm so excited to show you this clip in particular. This has got to be my favourite moment from the entirety of BAMZOOKi.
Teams, off you go. Go on.
Well, the Greens struggled to reach a decision for the first game. Is this going to be any easier?
Let's choose something big and heavy that's good for pushing things over.
Well, we're definitely not going to use maybes. He's not got enough power.
Big Tank, he can't miss. His legs are out like a Concorde's wings. He can't miss.
I say we go to that text. We'll run straight into the pole and no chance of it knocking it down.
I would go for Big Tank.
Use that text though,
Interesting decisions. Back you come, guys. Come on.
Well, a couple of right bruisers lining up for Zookum down. Big Tank 2 for the 3Bs. What happened to Big Tank 1? We can only guess. And in the red corner, it's Datex. It looks like an angry pincushion.
He does actually, Rich. Do you know what? We've got a couple of really brutal-looking Zooks here. The question is, are they accurate enough to cope with Zookum down? Let's find out. Let's start the countdown.
3, 2, 1.
Well, they've got to be accurate and they've got to be strong, and they're both off to a good start. Getting a little bit tangled up there as they make their way to the second pole, and it's Datex. He's got his second pole down, and what is Big Tank 2 doing? Well, not very well is the answer to that, as Datex makes his way to pole number 3. Big Tank 2, frankly, it's embarrassing. 3 down for Datex. He makes his way for the 4th, and Big Tank 2 is still spinning round and around his second pole. It's 4 down now for Datex, surely all over. And now he's got himself caught behind a block. And this really is dragging on a little bit now. Possibly for the first time in my life, I'm running out of interesting things to say. Datex has knocked down a green pole. Exciting, but not really leading to the conclusion of the game, which we all desire. Hang on a minute. Breaking news. Big Tank 2 has got one down. Datex is still stuck. Oh my goodness. He's going for the line. He's got to the final one. He's stolen it. Oh, Jake, have you ever seen anything like it?
I know this isn't actually Rich who says this, but his legs are out like a Concorde's wings. He can't miss is like the quote of all time. I really can't oversell how much better this show is made by this amazing narration. Like, he takes it so seriously, it's fabulous. He also composed a ton of music for Horrible Histories. This guy was just out here quietly making people's childhoods. And speaking of music, it's not really relevant to this section, but I absolutely love the music in this show. Just all the audio related stuff is great. The theme tune is an absolute banger. The robotic countdown is iconic. Even just the various beeps, boops, and background music are so fun and really add to the vibe.
Start the countdown.
3, 2, 1.
Gushing about music interlude over. I haven't even really got that much more to say about it all. It was just a really fun show. The challenges were varied and exciting to watch, the commentary was funny and kept things tense and interesting, and everything was very short and sweet, you know? The rounds were over in like a minute at most, the episodes were only 15 minutes long, it was just a nice punch of creative, feel-good vibes. And when the final of Series 3 wrapped up in 2006, fans eagerly awaited the next series of BAMZOOKi, which would no doubt bring more challenges, more creativity, and more... Yeah, so BAMZOOKi in its original format would never return to our screens, and it would remain off the air until 2009 when we would start to get teasers for something called BAMZOOKi Street Rules. So BAMZOOKi was coming back, but maybe not as we knew it. Part 2, Street Rules. In 2009, BAMZOOKi returned to our screens with a revised series called BAMZOOKi Street Rules. It had new presenters, new challenges, new house zooks, a new format, and a completely new vibe. Gone was the futuristic, sterile-looking studio with simple, colourful challenges. Street Rules took to the streets in more ways than one, with the challenges now taking place on roads, rooftops, and on grungy warehouse-like stages. The new look for the show was accompanied by, lore, I guess? BAMZOOKi is now an illegal sport, so zooksters have gone underground to do their competitions. At least, I think that's what they're going for. The vibe gets a bit confused, honestly, because each episode starts with Barney Harwood in disguise as an old man, while a newscaster is like, look out for this nefarious individual who is believed to be the leader of the secretive BAMZOOKi group. So you're like, oh, so he's like a wanted criminal and this group is outlawed in society. Okay. But then a bunch of celebrities try and join over the course of the series, so that gives it more of a vibe of a secretive members club or something. But then at the beginning of every episode they say this.
Police are searching for a man in his 70s. The individual is understood to be the leader of an underground organisation known as BAMZOOKi. The secretive group are believed to be behind the recent spate of civil disturbances.
Like, what civil disturbances? Is the government blaming BAMZOOKi for riots? Why are the streets abandoned when they do the street races? Plus, they're broadcasting this on TV, and Barney Harwood and presumably Gemma Hunt are okay because they could wear disguises. But what about the kids? Have you no concern for their safety? This gives the show a really weird, dogfighting vibe, which I don't think was intentional, but there it is. And this isn't helped by part 2.1, the Zooks. Another weird detail about Street Rules is that they make the Zooks seem much more alive in this one. There's really very little reference to the fact that the teams have actually, made a creature digitally. They have a whole section about how, Zooks just appeared in the world one day and you can spot them just wandering about in the wild if you're lucky. It gives them more Pokemon vibes than virtual robot wars. They also animate the Zooks in a more personalized way and they all make cute little noises now, like the big Zooks go brr, 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 brr.
But here he is, streaking away, armed response, lovely straight line speed. Good build.
And the tiny Zooks go...
He knows he's got the pace. Is he going to push it?
And the goofy Zooks go...
Who is going to come third? They're making a bit of a race of it now as they sprint towards the line. Wiggly Monster, I think, just has it there from Zook Skywalker.
Rocco.
That's fun. I really like that. But the fact that the Zooks are personified more as living creatures that would have normal lives were they not being used for sports does make it a little weirder that the losing Zook in every round gets f***ing killed. And they get killed in a huge variety of ways. They get smashed, squashed, hunted, verbally assaulted, chopped in half, bashed to pieces, eaten, exploded, 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 exploded. They actually have more death scenes than challenges, which is a strange botching of priorities. Nevertheless, now that we know not to get attached to any of these Zooks, let's have a closer look at them, shall we? Street Rules differs from its predecessor in that there are 4 teams in each round rather than the normal 2. Each team has 3 members, and every team only brings 1 Zook, which remains the same throughout the competition. They start out with their Uber Zooks, basically. Also, the whole series focuses on just one tournament, like it's not split up into different tournaments, it's all one. And interestingly, the Zooks that generally do well are slightly different from the ones that excelled in the original series. They're definitely still fast and maneuverable, but they also tend to be bigger and bulkier in Street Rules compared to before. One of my favourite Zooks from this series was Eric, because he was a little Zook who tended to get pushed around and bullied by the big boys, but who would always bounce back and get clutch victories. He was an underzook, and I loved that about him. Plus, look at him, he's so cute and stylish, and he's called Eric for goodness sakes. He can do no wrong. I remember cheering for him during the street races where he came second by like 1/10 of a second, and he even won a couple of strength-based challenges too. He was a great little guy, but alas, he didn't win. So
long, Eric.
What you say? That you only meant when.
Domino was another fun little Zook. I love his design and the little mushrooms on his back. Sadly, he went out in the semi-finals, and thus my dreams of seeing any girls make it to the final were crushed, much like Domino. Correlatianus was an awesome Zook who ended up finishing in 2nd place. Really cool design and all, but what is this thing here? What is that? Makes the whole design asymmetrical, which is hella annoying. If the people who made this Zook are watching this video, please explain yourselves. And if the people who made the Zook Dizzy are watching this, I salute y'all being absolute mad lads, because this Zook was pure insane banter.
Oh, he's all over the road. I think that's my car. Dizzy by name, dizzy by nature.
I've not got much to say about a lot of the other Zooks. I like Dragoneye for his cute noises and spinny legs. I liked Armed Response for his funny noises and legs that go like I don't know, he's got a nice walk cycle. Nectarine got done dirty with her colouring, like why is she red here when she's supposed to be purple? Element was an underrated Zook TBH, and Bantis was a cool looking Zook with an equally cool name, but why were his legs so floppy though? I do actually also really like the winning Zook, Mean Green. His design is kinda cute and goofy with his little eyes. He's really fast, agile, and surprisingly strong. He doesn't randomly stutter about like a lot of the other fast Zooks. He was just an all-round very worthy winner. In fact, he's actually so fast he sounds like he's out of breath.
These three really evenly matched. And Domino again, blocking Bantis. Mean Green there, streaking away.
But at the end of the series, Mean Green wins the insanely cool trophy and also gets to become a House Zook. Wow! Speaking of House Zooks, there are way too damn many in this show. So first we have Mimi, who is also the logo for the series. So that's fine, we can have her. She demonstrates a couple of games and is also the goal in Boulder Dash. Cool. We have Peachy, who, don't get me wrong, I adore and want in my life, but he's kinda sorta pointless. It feels like he's meant to be this series' nosy, but he actually wins most of the games he demonstrates. He's just kinda there, and serves the same purpose as Mimi, in my opinion. Then we have the Beast, who demonstrates all the strength-based challenges, which, like, yeah, whatever, cool design, but it does feel a bit disingenuous in a way to have like a special big strong Zook when the teams don't have the luxury of creating anything other than an all-rounder, you know? But it's fine, he's a fun enough guy. Then we have Predator, who is pointless. He only demonstrates one game, gets name dropped like once in the whole series, and is just boring. It's just a boring Zook. Sorry to all the Predator fans out there. Senti is a bit cooler. In fact, it's just a more interesting version of Predator, and at least plays a larger role in the Raid Runner challenge. Then there's Punker and Punkalicious, who are the thing and fang of this series, but with a fun twist that Punker is quite fast and Punkalicious is terrifyingly fast. They play a role in Zook Chicken, which we'll talk about later, but honestly, as much as I like Senti, they could easily fill his role in Raid Runner. Lastly is Derek, who has a great name and a really great design, but otherwise is just a guy. There's nothing too notable. So they really could have trimmed down the number of House Zooks to like 3 or 4. I don't know why we got so many. I mean, if you're not gonna make a plush of Peachy, then I don't see the friggin' point! But speaking of Zooks, this might be controversial, but I actually kind of like the change to the format here, where the teams just bring along one Zook to go through every challenge. I don't know, it's just kind of fun seeing how the different designs cope with everything, and I kind of think it gives the Zooks more of an identity. Like, there were interesting and memorable Zooks from the original series, but we only really got to see them for like a minute of screen time total, if that. So it was hard for each one to leave much of an impression. It was more about the teams. Whereas here, the teams are literally named after their Zooks, and they just get much more focus. And like I said, they feel like actual characters almost. You can decide for yourself whether that's a good thing or not, but since this is BAMZOOKi, I kinda like that the Zooks get to be their own Zooks, I guess. We get to spend a lot more time with them, and I think that's good. That's what the show should be focusing on. But unfortunately, the show should also make them do interesting things. Which, part 2.2. The challenges. Now, if you thought that I was a mad lad for listing off all the challenges from the original series, buckle up because I'm about to do it again. Every episode of Street Rules kicks off with a street race, fittingly called the Street Race. There are technically different courses for this, but that doesn't really matter. They're all interchangeable and they don't have names, so let's move on. Then all of the subsequent games are split into 2 categories: versus games and time trials, which are pretty self-explanatory. Versus games are 1v1 contests and are the best of 3 rounds, and time trials are against the clock with either the highest scorers or the fastest movers or the longest lasters winning out. Something that I think is pretty cool about Street Rules is that a lot of the challenges involve the team giving the Zooks instructions and actually interacting with them, which is fun, I think. It means it's not just down to the Zook, there's strategy involved with quite a few of these games. So we have Zook Chicken, where you go in a zigzag against your opponent, tagging blobs to score points, until you call your Zook to retreat back to the start line. Doing so unleashes one of the twins, Punker, or his evil and very fast sister, Punkalicious. And if they catch the retreating Zook before they get to the home base, that Zook loses the round, otherwise it's whoever scores the most points. Super Sumo is basically Zook Sumo, but with poles on the edge of the table that gradually retract as the round goes on, and a big spike pit because this show likes the animal abuse theme. Capture the flag is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. Go from one end to the other and bring your flag home first, and avoid these guys, the drones, which I guess are also house Zooks of a sort, as if we needed any more. Boulder Dash is a challenge where you need to get to the top and rescue Mimi from being yeeted out of existence. You climb the ramps and avoid the boulders, which get steeper and bigger respectively as you ascend. Raid Runner is a fun one. Collect as many points as possible by calling out different coloured zones. After a certain amount of time, Senti is released and begins hunting you down, and you try to avoid him for as long as possible. And of course, Demolition Zook, which is a bit like my old favourite Zook in a china shop, but with differently sized things to knock over, which have different points values. Knock over the highest score in the time. And that's it. So 6 different challenges across 13 episodes. Okay, to be fair, there's also Pressure Pusher, which the 2 losers of the first round play in order to determine who will be eliminated first. This is a combination of Zook Sausage Roll and Zook Pass the Blast. You need to make sure the big thing is in your opponent's half, but you can't be in there when the klaxon goes or you'll lose. Also, the big thing is a big sausage, and additionally also, you don't know how much time you have. They do this thing where they call this round the Eliminator, and they're always like, right, let's see what you're facing, but it's always Pressure Pusher. Always. And it's demonstrated by Predator, so who gives a shit? There's also the final, which is a pretty spectacular course across someone's rooftops, I think. I'll let Rich talk you through this one.
From the start, it's up the ramps, easier said than done, through the sliding doors, and into Aerial Alley, which is under cannon fire. Race across the reactor core, then into your pipeline, where all the traffic will be coming the other way. Once you're past those, you've got Snapplejacks nipping at your heels, before the final turn, and the Colossi. If you can get past them, you, my friend, are the winner. Piece of cake.
And I know what you're thinking. Are Snapplejacks and the Colossi yet another frickin' house? Also, you'd think if the government was looking for this organisation, they might notice the big-ass BAMZOOKi logo on this roof here, and you might also think, what's the point in them going down into the lair if they're just gonna go back up again? But let's not concern ourselves with that. Let's concern ourselves instead with the obvious issue here that there are not enough challenges in this show. Now, don't get me wrong, the challenges they do have are great. Apart from Super Sumo, which I think is a bit too simple, all of the challenges require some level of actual strategy or at least participation from the teams. Zook Chicken and Raid Runner being the best examples of this. I also like that pretty much all of the challenges, apart from maybe Demolition Zook, give Zooks of every shape, size, and speed to win. Like, yes, you have an advantage in Zook Chicken if you're fast, but slower Zooks can and have managed to overcome those odds because of the element of strategy and luck involved. Pressure Pusher can have shock results because a strong Zook can get overconfident or time things wrong, leading to their elimination. I think the challenges are overall well designed to keep the action exciting and suitably close and tense between the competitors, and overall the stakes feel much higher than the original series. Like, people are getting very invested here. And all of that is good, and I imagine it's probably much more difficult to design these challenges than the ones in the OG series, but seriously, 6 different challenges across 13 episodes? We'd exhausted everything this show had to offer in episode 4, people. That's not good. Okay, some challenges underwent minor, and I do mean minor, changes. Like, in some of the later rounds, they made the drone Zooks bigger, and that's it. The street race doesn't change, the challenges don't change, the elimination round doesn't change, and the final doesn't change. No, seriously, they don't modify the course at all. Don't add any extra challenges or anything. They don't even make the Snapplejacks bigger or give them teeth or something. So bear in mind, by the time we get to the grand final in episode 13, the final 2 Zooks, Mean Green and Correlationus, have already done this exact course twice before already. Like, we know how they deal with this course at this point. Like, the opponent's different, but wahoo, who cares? Like I said, they have more ways to kill Zooks than to actually challenge them. So, like, What was this show really about? Part 2.3, The Presenters. This show was presented by Gemma Hunt and Barney Harwood, both of whom were pretty recognisable CBBC faces. Barney Harwood, as I mentioned in my superhero video, was a regular across many shows, including Blue Peter, Prank Patrol, Bear Behaving Badly, Totally Doctor Who, and Basil's Swap Shop. The best Basil Brush show, don't at me. Gemma Hunt was a general continuity presenter on CBBC for a number of years, and also presented shows like Exchange, Best of Friends, and also Blue Peter. They have this interesting dynamic of girl boss and guy failure. Barney supposedly spends all his time hiding in the lair, even though every episode opens with him outside, in disguise as the old man, but okay. Gemma is also very keen to kill Zooks.
You know what, I feel like we've been on a little journey together. I feel like I've known King Zook since he was like this high, and no matter how much you prepare for it, I'm still not ready for this bit,
Oh, well then, allow me.
You know what, fellas, I think I'm part of your team here. I think I feel the same way you do. I don't want this bit to happen.
Really?
No.
All right then, I'll take the reins. Eliminate that Zook. Well, to you, Millie Speed 2.3 was a winner. Not to us. Let's zap that Zook.
We support women's wrongs here? They have generally good rapport with the kids and whatnot, get suitably invested in the challenges. There are usually lame running jokes throughout the episodes, but whatever, this is for kids. The star of the show, once again, is Richie Webb. I'm so delighted he came back for this, because it wouldn't have been the same without him. And since these street rules competitions tend to be even more tense and closely fought than others, his commentary was ramped up to 11. That said, there aren't as many funny or iconic moments in my opinion, but Rich's commentary really elevates what we do get. We also get the Zook Doctor. Yes, because these Street Rules episodes are 30 minutes long instead of 15 like the original. We gotta fill our time with something, and that something is Dr. Vigo. In theory, this is like in the original series where we had Rich telling us tips on how to build Zooks, a look at some user-submitted creations, or the lap leaderboard being an excuse to get some BBC celebrities on the show. In this one, it's either a celebrity trying to get into the exclusive and also illegal BAMZOOKi club.
Can we rejoin, please?
Jake, I have told you before, Rule 506 clearly states that there is no guaranteed re-entry into BAMZOOKi. Look, you have made your Formula 1 bed. Now you must lie in it.
Oh, but Dr. Vigo...
He's always bothering me.
And me, Vigo. I've had to change my mobile number.
Dr. Vigo giving advice on building Zooks, taking a look at what viewers have sent in, or doing other Zook-related skit things. And no, I do not know what that accent is either.
I wanted to show you just how discerning a Zook can be, so I managed to get hold of two very distinctive pongs. The first is a bottle of perfume from the beautiful Gemma. It is called Scent of Summer. Oh wow, that is super lovely. The second bottle is over here, and I managed to get this from TV personality Barney. It is called Man Musk.
Oh, wow, that is so macho.
Whew. But the real question is, which of these two will super stinky stench sniffer Hooter prefer? Come on out, Hooter. Off she goes. Straight away, she is making a beeline for the beautiful Gemma's perfume, but she does not seem to like it. Wait, what is this?
Wow! I have never seen this in a Zook before. She is going absolutely crazy
For the Man Musk. Well, Barney, now I know why you are so successful with the ladies.
I don't believe that man's ever been to medical school.
These sections are fine, I guess. They're cute enough, but they manage to drag despite being only a few minutes long each. They come across more as interruptions of the action rather than a quick reprieve. I mostly just skip through them, to be honest.
This is Piplup. Piplup may look cute, but beware, it is evil. Just look at its cold, dead, staring eyes.
What is this Teemo Pokemon looking ass? Street Rules is just a weird series, to be honest, a real mixed bag. I like that it goes completely out there with its idea of BAMZOOKi being this secret organization, but some elements of that idea are a bit botched. The main issue though is that there's not enough challenges, so even though the action is fun and you're invested enough in what's going on, it's just super repetitive. The show was clearly still finding its feet. There were loads of small changes throughout the series, even as it was originally airing. Like, the teams originally started by introducing themselves with a bit of blurb, and then it just became the team captains introducing themselves with an even shorter bit of blurb, and then it just became, we're this team. And that's it. And then it reverted? Like, what? Gemma originally invited just the team captains down into the lair, and the teams joined them later, but by the midpoint of the series, the whole team went down at once, and I'm left wondering how they all even fit in that elevator. The demonstration of the challenges changed to include the verbal commands, just small weird things like that. King Zook couldn't climb the second ramp in Boulder Dash because he apparently had no traction, but he manages it fine in his semi-final, and they clearly haven't made any changes to the Zooks, so was this a random update of the engine or the physics? I guess it's encouraging in a way that the show was changing and adapting as it went on, explaining things a bit more clearly and such. I think that shows that had it gone on to have multiple series, it could have developed further. Maybe we could have gotten more challenges, and the House Zooks, which would now include Mean Green, would get to do more things, and there would be a real reason to have so many of them. But sadly, we never got to see that. BAMZOOKi Street Rules finished in 2010, and since then we've seen no more BAMZOOKi content, and it looks unlikely we'll see anything anytime soon. At least, nothing official. Maybe we're going even more underground. Whoa! Part 3. The Legacy. Even though it's been over 15 years since we got any new BAMZOOKi content, and most traces of it have been removed from the CBBC website, there are still a number of tremendously dedicated and passionate people who not only remember and enjoy BAMZOOKi, but continue to create content for it. The links to download the Zook kits have been archived on Reddit and no doubt other places, and there's just whole communities of people still creating and sharing their Zooks, talking about the show, running their own games and tournaments. It's amazing to see that some 16 years on, BAMZOOKi is still being talked about and is still encouraging people to go out of their way to make things. The Reddit forum is still fairly active, there are plenty of videos with both tournaments and retrospectives on the show, and the Zook Labs forum is made up of people sharing their Zooks with each other. I guess I do hold out some hope that BAMZOOKi could be revived in some way, or maybe could even see some use for kids of today, like how Minecraft is being used in some schools. Whether those things ever happen, whether we'll ever see official BAMZOOKi content ever again, it's okay. Because despite both versions of BAMZOOKi having their flaws, and despite both of them not really being, that deep or complex an idea or show, it was ultimately a show about creativity and passion and just plain old fun. And it's wonderful that that still persists today, that there are still active forums and videos and thriving communities talking about the show and what it means to them. I hope this video has shown that BAMZOOKi meant a lot to me as a kid, but if anything, it means even more to me now. In a world full of digital slop and AI-generated garbage, there's still people out there putting actual effort into making goofy little creatures with a primitive toolkit from a kid show from 15 years ago, and I think that's really beautiful. Anyway, this is my Zook Pidge. He's objectively hideous, but if I see one mean word about him in the comments, so help me God, I'll...